Good afternoon. This is Committee Chair Kalila Slater Harrington. I would like to welcome all of you to the October 1st meeting of the Teaching and Learning Committee. If you have not yet done so, please mute your phone. Use your microphone. Anyone who does not mute their microphone may be muted by the call moderator or removed from the call. Additionally, if you are not a board member or the CEO and her staff, please turn your video off. I will now read a roll call of the board to identify who is on the call. Please identify yourself first before speaking for the record. Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. Okay. Commissioner Redding Lallinger.
Commissioner Redding Lallinger, present. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And Chair Ronald McFadden.
I'm present.
I see you there. Welcome. And thank you, everyone else. Without further ado, we can, before I jump into this very important presentation today, I wanted to remind us all of our board goals, which are listed at the top of the agenda, but bear repeating each and every meeting. We will work towards and we will achieve 80% increase, 80% composite score, student wholeness composite score. So increasing that. We will increase the percent of students proficient on the MCAT in English Language Arts Literacy Assessment. We will increase the 4-year graduation rate. And we will increase the percent of students proficient on the MCAT grade level 3 through 8 and Algebra 1 assessment. All right. With that setting,
I just wanted to acknowledge, Committee Chair, Commissioner Rooks has also joined us.
Oh, I did not see Commissioner Rooks. Please accept my apologies. Welcome, Commissioner Rooks. Would you like to acknowledge your presence here?
Thank you, Commissioner Rooks present.
Thank you. We will now jump into our presentation on professional learning and induction. Who am I turning it over to? Is Chief Dabrowski?
Chief Dabrowski, yes.
There
Good
we go.
afternoon.
Alrighty.
Commissioner Slater Harrington, fellow commissioners. I am Joan Dabrowski, Chief Academic Officer. I'm joined by my colleague, Dr. Taisha Swinton-Buck, the Deputy Chief Academic Officer. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen as we jump into a presentation about induction and professional learning. Great. All right, are folks seeing the screen?
Yes,
Seeing
I
the
can see it.
presentation. Fantastic. Great. All right, so I'll go ahead and get us started. So this afternoon, we're pleased to be here to talk to you about our work in professional learning and induction, specifically teacher induction, and think about that work in relation to the board priorities and our district goals. We'll share the vision and the standards and the goals that inform our professional learning here in Baltimore City. And then we've got specific information, again, on our work in induction for new educators, the ongoing systemic professional learning opportunities that we have for all of our educators, and then some of the school-based professional learning supports that exist in city schools. And then in response to our end-of-year survey feedback presentation that we gave the full board a few weeks ago, we wanted to include in this presentation the work we do to support our school leaders in that space of instructional leadership. We know that there is the ongoing tension of all the things that a school leader has to manage in their buildings, and the intentionality that we place on giving them opportunities to grow as instructional leaders is something we wanted to lift up based on some of the commissioner questions, and for the public to really see and understand the full types of supports we offer in that space. And then finally, we have some data that we'd like to share with you and some of our improvement plans moving forward. So as we think about this work of professional learning, it's grounded in priority 1 and priority 2 of the board strategic priorities. And then as Commissioner Slater-Harrington just lifted up at the beginning of the meeting, as we think about development for our educators, we're always making sure to align with our district goals: wholeness, literacy, mathematics, and graduation. So something that's really exciting in the work of professional learning is that the state of Maryland recently adopted the Learning Forward professional learning standard. So Learning Forward is a national organization devoted to this work of adult learners, and how they have framed what effective professional learning really resonates with us here in city schools, as it talks a bit about the importance of equitable access to high quality learning experiences for the adults. And when we do this type of learning, we're building up that educator capacity to make sure that we are creating inclusive and just learning environments for our young people. So again, this is something that aligns well with the work we have been doing in city schools. But as you can see, that professional learning in Maryland shows up in multiple places. So when we think about the blueprint, so the Kirwan blueprint work that we're doing right now, Pillar 2 really talks about high quality teaching. So embedded in that is how we develop and support teachers. And then when we see this in COMAR, we know that as our early career teachers come into the field, we have a level of responsibility to ensure that they are inducted and mentored in those early years of service. And then, as I already mentioned, the Learning Forward standards is the newest sort of stake in the ground that the state of Maryland has placed around professional learning. So when we think about that graphic there on the slide there that starts in that blue circle about having some standards for professional learning, and then how we make sure that we have high quality, that we are supporting that growth in what an educator knows and the skills and the beliefs they have, and that we're strengthening that growth in their practice, right? This line, this forward momentum leads us to that orange space of really expecting improvements and outcomes for students. And so that's sort of the guide that we hold as we're thinking about this work. So the work of the Professional Learning Office has really taken some time over the last couple of years to think about sort of what are the key goals that they're going to focus on all the time. So we are always thinking about that educator capacity and how we're building it. We want to always get better at what we do. We've talked again about aligning it with district priorities, a real intentionality about early career teachers, given the number of early career teachers we have in Baltimore City. And then wanting to make sure that we are constantly looking at data from our educators to understand what their needs are so that we can personalize that learning for them, give them choices on what kind of learning that they can take as part of our work in this space. So one thing we're really excited about in that space of that educator capacity is how we deliver professional learning. And one of the things the team did early on was take time to hear from our teachers what they wanted in terms of professional development. And the things that we heard was teachers want this to be relevant, have this mean something to me that I can use tomorrow in my classroom. Differentiate. I might not need the same thing that my colleague next door might need. So I could be in my 10th year of teaching and I'm working closely with a second year teacher. Our needs are different. So I want opportunities to learn based on my needs. And again, this impactfulness, this idea that Thanks. This idea that we make sure that that learning can be absolutely operationalized when that educator goes back to their classroom or back to their school. So the first piece of data I want to lift up is that there has been significant work done to bring all of our professional learning back in person. And I know that we think about remote learning as sort of this faraway thing that happened a long, long time ago. But the truth of the matter is that during the pandemic, most of our professional, in fact, I would say nearly all of our professional learning shifted to the online space. And while there were certainly things that made that meaningful and productive, and in some cases convenient for colleagues to be able to hop on, what we learned over time was that the power of being in person with your colleagues actually was something we wanted to shift back to. And so while we certainly know that there are times and spaces where we can be online and do some work together, being in person for professional learning was a goal early on that the team wanted to identify, wanted to work on. And so what you can see here is that if we go back to August of 2023, you can see that even then, over 2/3 of our sessions were virtual. But you move forward, fast forward to August of 2024, and you can see that over 90% of our sessions are now in person. And this level of commitment or recommitment to in-person development has been a very strategic body of work that's been lifted across multiple offices to support this. Colleagues in our schools who are opening up their classrooms so that we can have spaces for thousands of educators to be together in person has been a significant lift, especially knowing that we're trying to reframe our professional learning in these very high levels. So wanted to just share that the lift to bring teachers back in person for this has been an important one and something that we're really proud as we're seeing the in-person numbers get higher and higher. And so at this point, I'm going to actually turn this over to my colleague, Dr. Swinton Buck, who's going to move us into the next aspect of the presentation.
Thank you, Chief Dabrowski, and hello, everyone. We are going to jump right into information regarding our early career induction for new teachers. Next slide. So our New Educator Summer Institute is a comprehensive multi-day orientation designed for newly hired educators. And in this year, in August, we hosted 510 educators from 117 schools who participated. These new educators participated in a sequence of sessions that focused on identity, social emotional learning, classroom foundations, and our high quality instructional materials. They also were able to receive resources and personal connections through daily resource fairs that were supported by district and local partners, in addition to some of our commissioners. Throughout this year, we also offer ongoing induction support with virtual sessions and professional learning communities for those who could not attend during the summer. We are also hosting our NEFI, which is our Fall Institute, later this month for educators who were recently hired and not able to attend over the summer. We really want to prioritize and make sure that they get the foundational resources and supports to thrive in city schools as new educators. Next slide. Our key approaches to the New Educator Support and Induction Program is incorporating teacher-created sessions led by our Learner Fellows cohort. This cohort is made up of 50 classroom educators representing 25 content areas, and their focus is on critical areas of equity, support for diverse learners, adult learning strategies, and addressing post-pandemic needs specific to new educators. And so by embedding equity throughout every stage of induction and professional learning, we aim to enhance educator retention and ensuring that teachers feel supported, valued, and prepared for the classroom. Next slide. NESI prioritizes practice-based learning experiences, providing new educators with tools and resources needed for success in their first 30 days. But we also created space for educators to build community, engage in instructional planning, and develop strategies tailored to their specific content areas. We've also introduced peer fellowships and differentiated learning activities for experienced educators who are new to city schools, because we also understand that there is a uniqueness to city schools, and we want to make sure that our new educators, whether they are coming from other LEAs or such, that they also have foundational support and resources aligned to our district goals and priorities. Next slide. Our induction program offers year-round guidance and professional learning for new teachers, extending well beyond summer. So through initiatives like the Starting Strong series, monthly PLCs, and our Math PLC, we provide continuous ongoing support for both instructional skills and social and emotional support. This structure ensures new educators are well equipped throughout the school year, contributing to better retention and success. Next slide. We are excited about the work that we have been doing around supporting our international teachers. We are committed to supporting them. And this year we welcomed 116 international educators from 14 countries, and they are serving across 13 content areas. The program that we have specific for our international teachers focuses on networking through their Google Classroom, site-based mentorship, targeted school visits, and ongoing after-school PLC to help international teachers make the necessary adjustments, and also making sure that we empower them in the work that they're doing with our students. Next slide. We are going to jump into our professional learning opportunities for all of our educators. And we will talk specifically to start about our CAO Summer Institute. So in addition to supporting our new educators, we provide ongoing professional learning for all educators through the CAO Summer Institutes. And these are multi-day sessions attended by over 800 attendees, covering a range of topics from supporting diverse learners to K-8 STEM academies. Participants receive CPD credits and stipends, and we've also expanded our offerings to include a searchable online catalog, ensuring accessible professional learning opportunities year-round that folks can tap into. Next slide, thank you. The science of reading has been a major focus of our professional learning efforts. Over the past few years, we've held summer institutes focused on adolescents' literacy and foundational literacy skills for pre-K to 5 educators. And this year, we had 138 educators participating in the Foundational Literacy Institute and 58 in the Adolescent Literacy Institute. Our SOAR teacher fellows receive additional coaching and support while continuing to provide SOAR facilitation, which helps with bringing more awareness around the science of reading and making sure that teachers have a foundational understanding of what it means to support our students in the science of reading. Next slide. We are replacing our traditional one and done professional development session model with a year-long arc, which allows for continuous learning and growth. Educators follow a PLC model where they learn, apply, reflect, and adapt, which gives them more choice and voice in their professional learning journey and creates a continuum of learning connected with colleagues specific to where they want to learn and grow. And this shift is designed to just create stronger connections between professional learning and student outcomes. In the next slide, you'll see from November 2022 to current, you can see strong evaluation data where teachers cite that our professional learning is a good use of their time and that they can apply their learning to their classroom. So you'll see a decline on the blue line while the red line increases, which shows that more of our teachers are strongly agreeing that professional learning is a good use of their time and that they can actually apply the strategies in their classroom. Next slide. In addition to systemic PL, we offer robust school-based professional learning supports. So in this next slide, we talk about our school success liaisons who receive training on adult learning principles and instructional strategies to enhance overall teacher efficacy. We also just want to note that our SSL spend 80% of their time in schools working with coaches, teachers, and school-based teams to support instructional improvement and ensure alignment with district priorities. Our coaching network includes 92 literacy coaches, 30 math coaches, and 53 multi-classroom leaders, and 310 early career teacher mentors across the district. These coaches provide school-based professional learning support for teachers, and we also host summer coach institutes and monthly forums to ensure that coaches continue to develop their skills and support in teacher growth and development. Next, we'll talk about professional learning for our school leaders. The next slide, professional learning for school leaders, is just as important as it is for our teachers. And we offer quarterly leadership institutes which focus on instructional leadership, data analysis, and continuous improvement. When you look at this slide, this offers the additional supports that we provide in school to support our instructional leaders. So you'll see the math and literacy coaches, our MCLs, our OTG coordinators, career coaches, and also our fellows from the continuous improvement networks. Our goal is to ensure that school leaders have the tools that they need to support their teachers and drive student success. Thank you. Next slide. Our Leadership Institute focuses on key priorities like instructional leadership, continuous improvement, and coaching to enhance the role of school leaders. School leaders participate in 3 full-day sessions in November, January, and May, as well as an intensive 3 to 4 day event in June. These sessions emphasize instructional leadership and provide time for collaboration with colleagues, district leaders, and national experts. By focusing on these areas, we are able to equip leaders to drive meaningful improvements in their schools throughout the year. And this just shows you an arc of learning previously in our leadership institutes. And these are some of the national experts and local partners that have partnered with us to build out support for our school leaders and making sure that they are getting the resources and the new knowledge and research aligned to our district goals. Next slide. We hold monthly sessions for principals and assistant principals, ensuring that leadership teams receive continuous professional learning and development. In addition to these sessions, each school receives a minimum of 2 visits from their principal supervisor. And during these visits, we focus on goal setting, monitoring progress, conducting learning walks, data analysis, and leadership development. These sessions are tailored to each school's specific needs and helps support school-wide improvement. Another critical support mechanism is individualized coaching sessions with principals. These one-on-one sessions focus on addressing specific leadership challenges, helping principals refine their leadership approach, and overcoming any obstacles that they may face in managing their schools. Next slide, sorry. Okay, we're also excited about the opportunities provided by the Wallace Grant, which supports professional learning for principals and senior leadership. And through this grant, we've introduced the NAESP Mentor Certification. Additionally, we have the Coach Diversity Institute certification, equipping our senior principal coaches with the skills needed to support early career leaders. We also have our principals, they have access to leadership conferences, including Courageous Conversations and Learning Forward. This also just provides valuable networking and further professional learning opportunities for school leaders and senior leadership. Next slide. For our early career leaders, we offer a summer induction program similar to NESI for early career teachers. This is designed to provide foundational leadership skills. It also includes monthly learning sessions tailored to the needs of early career leaders and our residents, with a strong focus on equity-centered instructional leadership. And as you can see in the sample topics, they range from instructional leadership to our leadership framework, coaching and its impact on school culture, and overall equitable instructional practices. Next slide. Personalized coaching is also provided for early career assistant principals, and our iLead residents. This is ongoing coaching, helping leaders develop their skills and improve their school's instructional outcomes. Finally, learning walks and lab days are incorporated into school leader professional learning, and these hands-on experiences allow principals and school leaders to observe best practices in action and reflect on what they've seen and apply their new learning in their own schools. So ultimately enhancing instructional leadership through a hands-on collaborative approach grounded in what instructional leadership looks like and how it's aligned to our goals. Next slide. Continuous improvement of our professional learning. As we move forward, our focus is on continuously improving our professional learning offerings. And a part of what you saw when I talked about moving away from the idea of professional development and that one and done model to now having an arc of learning across several different content areas is really important. And that's a part of the continuous improvement that we have been working on. We'll be also utilizing additional measures of effectiveness, including teacher attitudes, professional knowledge, and ultimately student outcomes. So what we want to see is the investment that we're making in professional learning, how that is impacting student outcomes. We're also working to build a cross-office professional learning team to share data, refine practices, and improve professional learning design and facilitation. So we recognize that the professional learning team is the conduit for support across many offices and lots of input across the different content areas. And so creating this space to meet regularly, review data, share new ideas, and refine our PL practices only allows us to get better at what we do when we're offering professional learning to our educators. Next slide. We are excited to announce the launch of a new learning management system, which will serve as an electronic platform for housing our professional learning catalog, as well as asynchronous courses and events. This system will help us manage registration, monitor attendance, and track progress towards a license renewal for our educators. Next slide. So thank you for your time today. We are really excited about the work that the professional development team has been leading, and that is led by Dr. Katia Denisova. We are grateful for the work that she and her team have done to get us to this place, and we're excited about the progress we've made in professional learning and the continued improvements ahead. Myself and other folks on the team are here to answer any questions you all may have.
Fantastic. Oh,
And I
yes,
just,
Dr.
well,
Dabrowski.
what I forgot to say at the most important thing at the beginning, the reason Dr. Denisova is not here showcasing this incredible work is because she just got married over the weekend and is taking a well-deserved honeymoon. So she is coming through this presentation and all of the work that is really lifted up. So Dr. Swinton-Buck, thank you for reminding the public that this is really a teamwork that Dr. Denisova has been leading.
Well, congratulations to Dr. Denisova, and also welcome to Dr. Swinton-Buck in her new role, joining us to give this presentation. I am just so thrilled to see the amount of thought and the work that has gone into what you've presented here today. I'm so glad and confident that that's really going to help advance our work as a district and help us to realize the goals that I noted at the top of this meeting. I could wax poetic forever, but I know that I need to get to my colleague, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay, who is not with us for a long time, but with us for a good time today. So, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay, you have questions.
Thank you. Let me turn the computer down. I'm joining you audio-wise by phone. And so I'm sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulty on that arena. As I was going through the deck earlier, when I was researching the deck, there's one area that I was really curious about because our teachers, our administrators have a very strong level of understanding on two frames that I'm not seeing really included. Yes, we're trying to run to stay ahead of the dreaded numbers game always, and making sure our numbers look good and our progress looks good according to scales that are given to us. But there are two areas that I'm really curious about, and that is professional learning or training or education, if you want to deal with those three separate things. But if you're dealing with that on innovation and creativity, because that, I mean, we're moving forward in our school system, but we're moving forward in education, period. And the information that we will gather and garner from these sessions in those areas, I think is vitally important to our survival. But let me go to mute.
Commissioner Bay, were you done? Okay. I'll turn it over to Chief Dabrowski and Dr. Swinbuck. Did you understand his question? The commissioner's
Yep. So I
question?
think I want to just check to understand, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay, you're asking about what kinds of opportunities are there to focus specifically on innovation and creativity? Yes. So I think what we didn't showcase and what we can certainly pass along to you is the catalog that has been compiled for systemic professional learning has hundreds of offerings for our teachers. And there are offerings that do focus on some of the instructional technologies that are available. So I would want to do a closer look to see if those specific strands come up. And I don't want to misspeak. So if you would allow, I would certainly bring that one back and can get that to you. I do know that some of the work that we've done around 21st century learning has lifted up some of the work around makerspace devices and how we build up that type of work in some of our summer CAO institutes. So let me make sure I get the specifics and send those on to you. But that is a great question. And I think we're fortunate, like, for example, I know we did some work around how we use iPads in the classroom and where we can use those and use technology. But I want to make sure I'm also getting at the innovation space that you are talking about, because I couldn't agree more the importance of it. And I want to make sure I get the specifics to you. So I will do that as a follow-up.
Thank you. Does that satisfy you? Okay, he went off screen. Got it. Commissioner Redding Lallinger.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chief Dabrowski, and thank you, Deputy Chief Swinton Buck. I appreciate the presentation. I have two sets of questions. One is about how you all are thinking about measuring effectiveness. So, Dr. Swinton Buck, I saw you say you are y'all are looking at different ways of measuring capturing effectiveness of the professional learning you're doing. How are you measuring that? Is that through survey data, or are there other ways that you're actually measuring that? And then I was also hoping you could give me a little bit more of a sense about what you're currently capturing. Is it just these two questions that we saw on slide 20 around being able to apply what you learned and it being a good use of time, or is there other data you're capturing about the offerings you currently give?
Can I nuance that question or add on to that question, Commissioner?
Sure.
Because I had a similar one, beyond the evaluation data that's given at the end. Are there look-fors? Like, is it from retention rates of educators, but also is it student level? How can we see the evidence of this professional learning show up on a student level as well? And I would say the same for principal learning as well. What types of behaviors or look-fors might we see if a principal, if the professional learning was successful and effective? What might we see?
Dr. Swinton Buck, do you want me to go or do you want to jump in?
So I can answer some of those questions, but I'm
Yep.
happy if you jump in. So I know that we have a series of survey questions that we collect. We highlighted that one because you can still clearly see the favorable shift from November 22 to present. As we think about the LMS and streamlining all of our data points, we'll have tighter data around our early career inputs and how it's connected to student outcomes. So I think the LMS will help us with, our registration data, but also progress monitoring these ARCs and how teachers are participating in these ARCs. And then we could correlate that with our student outcome data, especially also the retention data. But Chief, are there other things that you were thinking about?
Yeah, no, and I think Dr. Denisova has been really steadfast in her wanting to have additional measures. So I just want to come back to this slide because one of the goals she has set for herself and the team is to add this how we start to measure, and she's working close with the Baltimore Education Research Consortium, so BERC, to help really build out a more robust evaluation, to think about how we're seeing teachers' attitudes, beliefs, and mindsets shift as a result of professional learning. Certainly, we can also, and we do this right now in our Science of Reading Institute that Dr. Swinton Buck was talking about earlier. We actually can assess the pre and post knowledge of our educators based on what they experienced in a learning institute. And where Science of Reading has very specific sets of skills and knowledge that we want our teachers to know and understand, say about phonemic awareness or about fluency, we can do some pre and post testing to get at sort of the effectiveness of that institute. The student data, as I am sure people can probably recognize, is a harder one to get because there's a lot of noise that happens between a teacher going to a great professional learning and a student improving on their assessment or their diagnostics. And so part of what we have to do is look for patterns and themes, which is, again, when we look at some of the Science of Reading fellows, we notice that in those classrooms, we watch sort of the data over time to see if we're seeing higher MCAP results or seeing more improvement from beginning of the year, end of year on some of our diagnostics. And we're seeing trends that go in that direction, but it's really hard to get at causation. It's really hard to say it's because of this that the student test scores. And that's true for principals too. So I always want to caution, as much as we'd like to be able to pin these things together, we have to understand that there are other factors that play into it. So growth is always a nice thing for us to look at in terms of student growth. And that is something that we pay attention to. So all to say that, yes, we do a survey now. There are other items on there, and we can certainly provide you as a follow-up the full survey that teachers take. So every time they leave a professional learning, there's an exit survey that we ask them to complete. And it has a number of things. As Taisha mentioned, we lifted up a few here just to sort of showcase where we're seeing some real uptick in people really liking PD, as opposed before there was sort of the, yes, we agree. Now we're like, yeah, we're strongly agreeing that this is something that's meaningful to my learning. But it's a work in progress, but I certainly know that it is something we can come back to the board, after another year to show the ways that we're looking at these additional measures.
Thank you for that answer, and I would definitely welcome any additional data you have on it. I just want to say that those two data points you put up there are highly impressive. Having been on both ends of receiving and delivering professional learning, that's really high satisfaction data. So I tip my hat to you because clearly you're doing something right. And I agree with you on, it would be really tough to establish any kind of causal link between professional one session and student outcome data. So that's why I was curious about how you are thinking about that. But I would love to hear a follow-up as you've developed this over the course of the year on those things. So thank you for that answer. My only other question was just in relation to the international teachers and the development that they're receiving. I've, sort of had various conversations with folks across the district and also just thinking about how big of a shift it might be for some folks to come from certain contexts to teach in the United States. And I guess I'm wondering what the data there, both anecdotal and whatever you've collected, is around whether what we're doing is adequate. I mean, a week for someone to get acclimated to an entirely different context is it's just really tough. So what are you seeing in terms of what we may do differently or what we may need to do more intensively for future iterations of bringing in, this international teaching core that I know we all value tremendously. I'm just imagining there are so many things that you would have to, you'd have to learn really, really quickly. So what are you learning from that?
I think overall for the international teachers cohort, like making sure that there's ongoing inputs with those folks. So yes, they attend NESI and they have like tailored sessions during that time, but the ongoing monthly PLCs and sometimes Saturday sessions. I think for our international educators, we are also cognizant of like housing needs and wellness needs and all the things that it that is required for them to acclimate to Baltimore City and to Maryland. So just making sure that we have that wraparound approach, and that we're not actually just focusing on, okay, what you do in the classroom, but how are we helping you be your best self, right? Making sure that all these other needs are met so that you can show up in the classroom accordingly, and just making sure that's a thread throughout the inputs during the year. So again, not the one and done, thanks for coming, NESI, but like, okay, so now September, we're 30 days in, what supports do you need? What are you finding? What are you struggling with? And building that community within the cohort and connecting them to resources so that they can actually thrive in and out of the classroom in Baltimore.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add is this is where we've partnered very closely with Human Capital, because where Human Capital does the initial onboarding, there is sort of this transition space that we don't want to lose. I think as Taisha lifted up, there are sometimes sort of basic navigating of the city and how we support, making sure that we're doing some social opportunities to come together, whether it's for meals together, things like that, to help sort of the unique needs that international teachers may have. I will just say anecdotally, last fall, we found ourselves in a situation where we were hearing from our school leaders, their international teachers needing something. And so Dr. Denisova, who herself came to this country from Russia as an international teacher, worked quickly to build this professional learning community. And we had an opportunity to just kind of track that over the year. And many of the international teachers sort of anecdotally would share, like, this is what they sort of used to sort of get through that first year. They knew they had other colleagues in the similar kind of boat of feeling new, and not only just new to city schools, but new to the United States. And that unique sense of community that they provided through the PLC is something that we learned to sort of say, we want to start that from the get-go. So which is why hosting that international lunch at NESI this summer was a new part of the NESI experience, and how we were going to then make sure that the PLC started immediately so that it wasn't any lag, that teachers knew they could have that support right from the get-go.
And to add on that, Chief, we also collected specific survey data from the international teachers during NESI to say, okay, you're here, you're a part of this learning for NESI, but what are the additional supports and needs that you're finding as you navigate these different sessions and talk to people? What resources do you need? So that was also an additional data point that we were able to use to drive the ongoing community building throughout the year.
Thank you, Dr. Swinton-Buck and Chief Dabrowski. And thank you for responding to my question along with Commissioner Redding-Wallinger. I know that we have to get to the other commissioners' questions, but I wanted to circle back. I do understand that getting to student level data is complicated, and we can't get to causation, but I would love in the future for principals who we are working on instructional leadership with and coaching to see if we can what we can learn from test scores, or what we can learn from I'm going to use the wrong term here, formative assessments that are happening, those assessments that are happening in short cycle, to see if their coaching has been able to influence the teachers and their instruction. So I am just so excited about this work, because I believe that this is where deep learning is going to happen. And that when our teachers and our principals are well prepared, then our students will be well prepared as well. I am so over episodic professional development, and I'm loving deep learning. So, all right. That said, I'll get off my TED Talk and turn it. Let's see. We have Commissioner Kenyatta Bay has another question. Before we circle back, does the chair or Commissioner Rooks have any questions?
I don't have any questions, Commissioner Slater-Harrington.
Thank you. Commissioner Rooks, did you have anything? All right. Seeing none, I will turn it back over to Commissioner Kenyatta Bay for his question.
Just real quick, real brief. The question that I have actually deals with looking forward with professional learning. What you have here is a situation where we understand, or we're building on understanding of functionality, structure, how it works, and this is what I've been subjected to in professional learning over the years, still am. But the thing is do you see a door opening? Because professional learning, I think, in my opinion, needs to be able to bleed out to other entities like the community. How are they involved in the professional learning cycle? Do you see that in the future development of professional learning? Because to keep it cloistered within the halls of academia sometimes does not open the doors to the understandings that we need from, those people who are the consumers of our process. I just want to get your thoughts on that. Real quick question there for you. Does that make sense?
So,
You hear me?
no, it does. It does. I think it's an important one because I think a lot about the work we do with our community partners. We have a lot of very, I think, thoughtful community partners that do work alongside our schools and our educators. And I think I can certainly follow back up with Dr. Denisova and the team to see how we are linking that into professional learning. I often think about the work that happens outside of some of the systemic professional learning days that we lead. And a lot of the work that we're lifting up here is sort of the focus on the academics portion when I think about math and literacy. And we're always using some of the national partners or the programs that we're lifting up, say for our new mathematics, we're closely partnering with McGraw-Hill to make sure they're coming in and giving us, their expert view on how to use those materials. But I think the question, if I'm hearing you correctly, that you're getting at are other community agencies that might help inform the work we do with adult learning. And I can certainly look into that more, but I do see us, I'm even thinking in the secondary space where we have career coaches coming in and working with our young people, and how are they bringing to the forefront for those educators some of the things that they're seeing and experiencing out in the workforce. And so there may be some of these things happen organically. I don't know that we've got a formal system for that, but it's something I can certainly look into and learn more for you.
Thank you. And I want to thank Dr. Swinton Buck for her support of a very dear friend of mine through her times of difficulties. You've been absolutely an angel, according to our friend.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Well, that's certainly who I know her to be as well. So, any other questions? Okay, I think we satisfied all the questions, and thank you, and kudos to our newlywed on the team as well.
Thank you.
All righty. With that, we will move on to the next portion of our agenda, which is our procurement agenda. Starting off with, I don't know if Chief Dabrowski will be back on here, but the Youth Works program.
Oh, sorry. My name's Catherine Kamenecki, and I am a contracts administrator with the procurement department.
Hello
So I will be, standing in for Shabray. But the first item is a YouthWorks program with MOED, and this is a contract through June 30th of 2027 in the amount of $410,000.
Commissioners, do we have any questions on this procurement item?
Yes, Chair, am I recognized?
Yes.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Is this an addendum to an existing amount? It just, the number seems small compared to the previous year. Is this the whole contract? Is this adding? Is this supplemental? I couldn't tell from the description here.
One from SSNI.
I also
Hello.
wonder if we used ESSER funds to fund a broader engagement previously, and so this is kind of reconciling back to normal amount. I'm sorry.
Right. No, Eric Jefferson, Executive Director of Secondary Success and Innovation. YouthWorks contract comes out of my office. This is a 3-year contract. It's for our summer YouthWorks program and our year-long YouthWorks program. So this is over a 3-year span. On average, on the last 3 years, it's been between 100 and 105,000. And so when you increase for inflation and those type of things, and not just inflation, but also to your taxes, your FICA, and all of that. So that's where we see 410,000 over the next 3 years.
Thank you. I wasn't actually concerned about the dollar amount. I was more looking at this looks like it's going to serve 40 participants plus what was it over the whole year? 40 plus 5, which seemed like a low number compared to how many youth we've had in YouthWorks previously. That was my question.
Right. And this is Baltimore City portion of the YouthWorks contract.
Got you. Okay.
MOED also, we partner with MOED, and they pay, out students as well. So this is the Baltimore City portion, city schools portion of the MOU that we have.
So the evidence of effectiveness was relating to the entire program.
Yes.
That MOED. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I was confused there. Thank you for that answer. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Sorry about that. I misunderstood your question.
No problem.
All righty.
The next item is for EdScale, and this is a piggyback contract for professional development services. This is an estimated total contract amount of $1 million, and this contract is through August 30th of 2027.
Chair, I see you
I
have
do
a
have
question.
Oh, going. Yes.
Acknowledging the chair first.
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you very much, Chair Slater Harrington. This particular proposal, I'd like a little bit more information around this particular ask, given the presentation that we just received. Is there any alignment there with the work that EdScale is doing with professional learning development, any of the onboarding? And I also want to go deeper into some of the evidence of effectiveness. For example, as we're looking into like the Career Readiness Office, this is saying that EdScale has supported the expansion and improvement of IT pathways and work-based learning offerings in the district, including the plan to dramatically expand youth apprenticeships aligned with goals. How are we seeing some more of that specified and spelled out in this, what is it, a 3-year proposed contract for $1 million? How are school teams using EdScale? What is the sustainability of their work once they perhaps leave schools? Do they stay in the schools? Do they then leave? For example, looking at Hartford Heights, there are some schools named in some of the work that was done with school leadership teams or IOTs. What does this look like to scale? I see it is a piggyback contract. I just need a little bit more information. I think it would be helpful for that to be illuminated.
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brooke Korch. I'm the coordinator of academic fiscal operations. So EdScale is a consultant. They provide strategic consulting work. They do a variety of projects with us. They've been doing that for a number of years. They first came in with a PQS. And so they essentially support a variety of different offices and a variety of different schools. And so in the previous example with Hartford Heights, they're a thought partner in the school. They support the creation of structures that the school then kind of sustains. We have Eric Jefferson, we have Maria Raymore that can support, that can speak to the work in CTE and multilingual learners. So I don't know if Eric wants to speak to the CTE work.
So Brooke, I appreciate you
Sure.
lifting up that, they support you just lifted up Hartford Heights. So
Yeah.
using them as an example, right, and supporting them with structure as a consultant, you speak to sustainability. That is not evident in this particular proposal
Okay.
coming to us today. And so it would be helpful to hear some of the ways that the consulting work has been or is planning to be sustained as a result of our as a result of us spending money on this.
Understood. I think that in the examples of the CTE and the MLL work, I think that might
Mhm.
shine through in the creation of the MLL plan. I don't know if Maria can share a little bit about that work.
Good afternoon. I'm Maria Raymore. I'm the Director of Multilingual Learners. EdScale supported us with the initial development of the Multilingual Learner and Community Strategic Plan, which we've shared in this space previously with you, and our goals around the work we're doing to support our students academically as well as supporting our families. They continue to support, EdScale continues to support us with our work around implementation and making adjustments to that plan as we move forward, as well as the PLC that we have formed around the 17 schools that are our highest impact schools. And again, those schools are the same. This is the same information that we've shared with the board in previous spaces, with those specific goals around supporting our schools that have those high impact populations, supporting our earliest learners with foundational literacy, our secondary students, and then as well as professional learning for our content teachers who have MLs in their classroom. Our lift on dual language instruction, and finally our work around staffing and trying to ensure that we have candidly the right folks in the right places, as well as not just in the ELD classrooms, but in all the right spaces. And that's a partnership that we share with the Human Capital Office. EdScale has supported the original development of that plan and has provided ongoing support for the last several years with implementation, planning for those PLC meetings, as well as their work in helping us with some of the data analysis coming out of those schools. I hope that gives you an overview. If there's any other specific questions I can answer
Maria,
to that.
that's helpful. Thank you for that.
Sure.
You know, it is important for that context, the type of context that you're providing, to be specified in these proposals. And I appreciate you referencing information that has been presented to the board previously. That is helpful. Just for, you know, the sake of the board that seems to evolve, it often evolves. There are folks that may not have been exposed to that, and seeing, you know, more specified information in these proposals helps to give that context for folks to make informed decisions when they're voting on these or approving them. And I appreciate you lifting the work for multilingual learners. There are just some other areas too that I wish could be a bit more fleshed out prior to this coming to the full board for approval next week.
Eric Jefferson, Executive Director of Secondary Success, again, to speak on the Career Readiness Office piece. So EdScale has helped us lift that from a standpoint of processes and procedures with our partnership with MOED to lift the 43 career coaches that we have in our schools based on the Blueprint Pillar 3 from MSDE. EdScale has also identified pathways of work-based learning partnerships, and those partnerships go beyond just the district for placing our students in work-based learning opportunities that are state approved, that and that are leading to industry recognized credentials that are state approved, that is moving us towards our Blueprint goal of 45% of all of our students must graduate high school with an industry recognized credential and some type of work-based apprenticeship, youth apprenticeship experience. So, and EdScale has also been lifting the work of when the career coaches are being onboarded at our schools. So now that we have created this college and career readiness team in our schools with career coaches, post-secondary advisors, on track to graduate coordinators. They are help lifting that work and bringing those teams together at our schools. So that's from the career readiness office.
Chair, does that satisfy your question?
I appreciate folks lifting the explanation in this space. I just hope that some of this information and the specificity will be provided in an updated version of the letter that will come to the board for approval on Tuesday.
Understood. Absolutely, we can do that.
We definitely
Thank
can
you.
do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those are great questions. All righty. Any other commissioners have questions on this particular procurement item? Dr. Redding Lallinger?
Thank you. Just a request for Tuesday as well. I want to piggyback on the chair's point. I think the chair was talking a lot about, getting into some of the effectiveness of the work that's already been done. I'm really curious, in addition to know, it's very hard reading this contract to understand what will be done specifically with this contract. Like what will be, it's piggybacking on a previous contract, but what bodies of work are continuing and how does that get decided and who's managing that? It looks like maybe it's coming out of the chief of schools office. So just to add on to what the chair was saying, that would be helpful in deciding how to proceed with this contract. But I won't belabor the point. Thank you.
We appreciate the feedback and we will make this significantly more clear.
All right. And Kenyatta Bay?
Yes. The one thing I wanted to bring forward is because I hear a lot of language in the explanation, they've assisted, they've collaborated. I know you use more than one consultancy. I wanted to know the weight of their consultancy in comparison to the other consultancies you use to come to these points that you're lifting up. And I think they're very good points to lift up. But, we can have a lot of those. And I wanted to make sure that this is unique. It's coming out of, you're piggybacking off of Delaware. What sort of evidence did we get from them that says that this is a operation that we really want to proceed with moving forward? And I think the chair quite eloquently actually asked the same questions that I had, which was that, we need to know more before we can say, okay, this is another consultant that we need, or is this a key consultant that we need? And this is, I think, very important in looking forward on maintaining that type of relationship.
All right. Thank you for that. I'm going to move us along to our next procurement item.
The next item is a contract increase for private duty and school health nursing services. The current contract expires November 30th, 2026. And this request of the board is to increase the estimated annual spend from $10 million to $18 million, which is an increase of $8 million annually.
Looking for questions from my fellow commissioners? Not on this one. Yeah. All righty. We're ready to move on, Katie. I'm sorry, Catherine. I know you as Katie, but I'm sorry.
No worries. I respond to both equally. The next item is another contract increase, and this is for speech language pathology, audiology, and music therapy services. And this contract expires November 30th of 2028. And this request of the board is to increase the contract by $5 million annually. And that's an increase from $7 million to $12 million annually.
Tempted, but I'm not going to. Any questions? All right. And the last procurement Commissioner Rook, I'm not ignoring you. I just don't see your hand up, so I'm moving us along. Classroom materials.
So the final item is a piggyback agreement for a contract solicited by Anne Arundel County Public Schools for classroom materials. And this contract is an award to 19 vendors. And this is a total contract amount of $35 million for the period of October 23rd, 2024 through August 20th, 2029. And this includes 5 one-year renewal options.
Anyone? I have none. Oh, Chair McFadden.
Thank you. When you say piggyback from Anne Arundel County for the 19, can you just illuminate that for us, please? So the piggyback is on each of the 19 vendors. I'm familiar with several of them, but the piggyback is for each of the 19.
So the basically it would be a $35 million award allocated amongst the 19 vendors. But the award by Anne Arundel County Public Schools, they awarded 19 vendors, or these are the, I mean, I'll let Brooke speak to this, but these are the 19 that we're likely going to be purchasing off of.
I just don't, I appreciate you trying at that. I just don't understand the piggyback concept for a group of vendors together. In that language being placed in the proposal.
So I guess, so we would be entering into a separate agreement with the identified vendors, but the total spend amongst all of the providers over the term of the contract would not exceed 35 million. So Anne Arundel County made a multiple contract award.
I guess I'm following you, Chair. I guess if we're, my understanding of piggybacking is if like services for one vendor, in this case it's 5, would it be individual piggybacks for those from a process standpoint, or why aren't these vendors being processed individually? Maybe that is a quicker way to get to it.
So typically when we have brought forth piggyback awards for multiple vendors, we haven't not necessarily done individual recommendations. So I think like music instruments is an example where Baltimore County Public Schools awarded to multiple vendors. And we just identified those vendors that we would be piggybacking. We did not bring a separate request for each of the individual vendors. I'd have to connect offline with my director on how.
I don't want to be like, I appreciate it. I don't want to belabor it. And I know that Dr. Redding-Lallinger also had a question. I think I get the multiple vendors and grouping them in one proposal. That's fine. And I guess the clarity, I guess I can get offline, right? To figure out what is being piggybacked from Anne Arundel County. And if that language is even, I don't know. I can take that offline for clarity, and hopefully that happens prior to next week. Just, we can move on.
Thanks, Chair. I didn't see your hand, Dr. Redding-Lallinger. Did you have a question?
I did. I think it was just trying to understand this contract. So if I'm understanding it correctly, through individual school or department budgets, folks can go through these vendors for specific supplies, any of these 19 vendors for specific supplies, And the estimated total amount is going to be 35 million for all. That includes the budget line items for all of those schools and all of those departments. And so it will be up to $35 million. Essentially, we're voting on the ability for schools to use these vendors for pre-existing line items that they have for these supplies for up to $35 million in total.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Until August 2029.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? Okay. I will move us along. Thank you, Katie and staff. I will move us along to the public comment portion of our agenda today. I've been notified that we do not have any public comment, but I will say this. Members of the public who would like to provide public comment to this committee can do so by signing up beginning 9 a.m. the Thursday before the meeting until 5 p.m. the Monday before the meeting date. Individuals or groups interested in providing comments to the committee may sign up one of three ways. They can contact the board office, visit the board office, or email the board office. I will put this information into the chat or ask the board staff to put this information into the chat for those from the public who have joined us. Up to 5 individuals will be given the opportunity to provide comment to the Teaching and Learning Committee, and speakers will be granted 3 minutes. All public comments should address teaching and learning related issues, and sign up is not permitted the day of the meeting. In addition, I believe this has already been shared. The chat function during our virtual meetings will not be used as a tool for gathering feedback or answering questions from the public. If you have follow-up questions or feedback and did not sign up in advance to provide them during the committee meeting, please send an email to our board office and staff will provide a response for you. Anything else for the good of the order?
Chair Slater Harrington, I just want to make sure that the board office team captured the follow-up that was requested from commissioners in this meeting.
We have that, yes.
All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for that. All right, our next meeting, it will be held on Wednesday, November 6th, 2024, instead of Tuesday, November 5th, which is what? Election Day. I hope we're all, we are nonpartisan and are not giving any political statements here, but we are encouraging everyone to exercise their right to vote and to be politically astute in their voting. Please and thank you. All righty. Our next meeting will focus on our graduation goal and continuous improvement updates. We look forward to seeing all of you and invite you for public comment in our next meeting. And we are adjourned.
Dwana? Hello? Tanisha? Hey, sweetie, how you doing? Trying to juggle. I'm juggling 3 computers. I'm trying to get this Baltimore County computer, but I also am on the phone. I wanted to make sure that that's working because I mean, now what time does this next meeting start at 5:30? Yeah, yeah. I'm sticking around for it. I'm not going to the other meeting. I'm staying here for the 5:30 meeting. But I just want to make sure I'm working. Everything's working here because this has been. Oh, okay. Because this is kind of like, yeah. Because remember, I came on by, so I had this thing for 3 years already. It's like, it's died. Everybody, you'll get another one. So, like with the phone situation. Like, hey, Bay'll be okay. Come on. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how people were seeing it. They're acting like, well, he'll get it. It'll come around. Santa Claus is coming this year, maybe. Well, no, that's why I was like, I can't get through it. That's what it's working. And now it it won't even charge. My Baltimore City computer will not even charge. I'm plugged in and everything, and it's like, what's going on? So I'm on the phone for the upcoming meeting because I give up on trying to get this Baltimore County computer to recognize who the heck I am. Yeah, but I don't deal with them because they're quite dysfunctional. And so it's not like what we have. We have so many things in the city are so much better than it is in the county. And people don't believe it. It's like, yeah, you don't know how good you got it. Mhm. water to the well run dry. I was forced to go to another well, but that's okay. Check 1, 2. Hello.